Hi, my name is Maggie DeWitty, Executive Director for Pulse Life Advocates. Pulse is Iowa's original pro life organization, defending life from fertilization till natural death since 1972. We asked moms and dads, husbands and wives, clergy and laity, and saints and sinners two simple questions. How do you raise pro life children? Or, how did your parents raise you to become pro life? How do you raise pro-life children? In episode 1 of this series, we show how it begins with faith in God and an active prayer life. In episode 2, our guests make the case that you must trust in God, to not be afraid, and to use the prophetic gifts God gives you. And in this episode, we talk about the importance of the unique roles of the dad and mom. Fathers have an outsized influence on their kids when they take leadership on promoting a culture of life. Here's how it impacted Beth.
Well, first of all, my parents gave me faith in God, and that was the basis of my pro-life convictions. Second of all, they welcomed me because I was kind of a surprise person. My sister was 9 months old, and my mom found out that I was there, and things were rough in our household. Our family got a pretty rough start. My mom and dad were living in a trailer. It was not a mobile home, it was a trailer. And they had a 6-year-old and a 9-month-old, and then there was me. And they welcomed me. And it was tough, but we stuck together, and they stuck together. So that was the second thing they did. The third thing was my dad took me twice to Washington, D.C., to the March for Life. He was kind of on a mission, and he brought us to the March for Life. He marched with us. This was in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And we just were like, wow, this is something else. And it really planted that seed. When an abortion clinic opened up in our town, he was there praying the rosary. And I was probably in my teens when we went out and we prayed the rosary. So there's instilled in me always that hope and faith and love for life. And that's how my parents made me pro-life.
Another mom, Chris, builds on what Beth said. Her dad showed her and her sister the reality of abortion when they were in grade school.
I think it starts first with me. When I was young, my dad was a Catholic school principal. And I remember being in about 5th grade. My sister would have been in about 3rd grade. And he wanted to show us some films and some information on stuff that he had shown the 7th and 8th graders. And so, we went after school to my dad's school every day, and he let us he didn't let us, he sat us in front of this screen in a gymnasium, just my sister and I, and showed us these films on abortion. And even back before that, my sister and I were always asking, Mom and Dad, we want another little baby brother or baby sister. We never had anybody besides the two of us. They had some miscarriages, but we always wanted babies, and we never got that. But so we loved babies, and we babysat a lot and everything. So with that in mind, then we were in front of this screen and watched all this information about abortions. We had no idea that abortion had even existed, let alone way back in the ancient times in history, right? But he showed us stuff about how babies would get vacuumed out and chemical abortions, and we were horrified. And you would think, why would you show a 3rd and a 5th grader that? Well, because he was forming us, and it really ended up being a blessing. And so to my sister and I, abortion was there was just no question. And how could anybody ever do that? We thought babies were such a gift that we couldn't imagine anybody ever wanting to do that. we, of course, didn't think with the mind that somebody else who's going through something very stressful might think. But that's where it started for me, was really early. And I would say that didn't scare me, which, I think a lot of people would be afraid to show that to their little kids. It didn't scare me. It just informed me. And it made me very passionate about, oh my gosh, no, you just don't do that. And pray for those people who are in that situation, kind of thing. So that's where it started again for me.
For Kim, it was her mom who was a pro-life warrior, and that really molded Kim at a young age.
Hello, my name is Kim Grievach, and I am pro-life. I am also a member of the Post-Life Advocates Board, serving as their treasurer. I have been pro-life my entire life. So what did my parents do to make that happen? Well, I was born in 1971. And when Roe v. Wade came down, my mom took action. She actually went into the schools, it was allowed, and she talked to churches and community clubs about the significance of that decision and what it meant to be pro-life and to fight for the unborn. There were posters and there were fetal models in my house. And even at my young age, I knew that that was a baby, in utero or not. And so I've always known that we had to fight for life from conception. My mom was a champion back in those very early days.
Another couple, Lori and Robert, shared that for them, having early conversations with their kids has made a difference.
I'm very thankful that our kids are pro-life, and in a way I think that happened almost naturally. When kids are very young, it's so easy to talk about those lessons of right and wrong and good and bad. We always taught our kids that life is a good and precious gift from God, and it's not for anybody else to take away. So in a way, raising pro-life kids is just very simple, starting with those simple conversations from when they're young. As they've gotten older, as Catholics, we have discussed church teaching and we make sure that they understand the reasons for those teachings. And now that they're high school and college age and there's so much about abortion in the news today, we keep those conversations going. So it's just kind of been a natural progression from the time that they were really young.
Mm-hmm. And I have a personal experience, having been adopted, that I was possibly very close to being in an unfortunate situation. Our kids understand that. They also understand that had things gone a different way, we wouldn't be the family we are today. So we all realize that we're very blessed.
Very thankful.
Bill Donaghy of the Theology of the Body Institute talked with us about the need for a mother. When St. Pope John Paul II's mother died when he was young, he turned to our Heavenly Mother for solace. Mary modeled motherhood and teaches us that our authentic identity, who we are as humans, and the path to fruitfulness are all tied to the mother.
He dedicated his whole papacy to Our Lady. He said, "Totus tuus," I'm totally yours. So he knows by going back to our mother, right, our Heavenly Mother Mary, we find authentic identity, we find our who we are as humans, we find our path to fruitfulness. It's all tied to the mother. There's an amazing parallel that John Paul II opens up about Eve, the mother of all the living in Genesis, who, as we know, fell. And Joe, it was not selflessness with Eve and Adam, but selfishness. So the fall of the first woman is made right again by the new Eve, Mary. And so Mary's fruitfulness was her selfless love. So as we ponder fruitfulness, motherhood in Mary, we're going to find here like the reset. This is the great reset. What is under attack today but woman, mother, fruitfulness? Fertility is often seen as an obstacle to freedom. This pondering of fruitfulness and motherhood in Mary is going to be the reset. Now we're going to realize fertility is a gift, not a curse. It's a blessing that we have to get back to if we're going to have a culture of life.
To summarize, take leadership with children on being pro-life. It's possible, maybe even likely, that not all of your children will embrace the pro-life cause. That's up to them, but you've got to do your part first. Teach them the truth that human life, God's creation, begins at the instant of fertilization.